Buckle up, Space Cadets, because if you thought Starfield was a massive game before, then just wait until you get a look at what you can do to your spaceship. Not content with filling the new galactic RPG with thousands of planets to explore, and populating them with tons of side quests and factions to interact with on your adventure, Bethesda also decided to throw in a full-blown space crew sim as well, which I suppose shouldn't really have been unexpected, but my god, this thing looks deep. Starfield ship customization lets you build, mod, and crew any spaceship you own. With a ship technician in every spaceport, you can use your ill-gotten or honest space gains to buy or sell parts, make repairs, and kit it out with the latest laser-based weaponry. Or maybe just a nice vase to put in your space window. However you build your ship, each one will be unique to you depending on which parts you've managed to buy, borrow, or steal on your adventures. And thanks to recent gameplay reveals, we know this includes a ship's speed, jump distance, armour, damage output, and more, all while taking into account that if your ship weighs too much, it's never getting off the planet you're building it on. Yeah, Starfield shipbuilding is a whole lot more than just cosmetic. Like the recently released Armored Core 6, but presumably without the hard-as-nails FromSoft boss fights, you'll have to juggle resources and cold hard cash to put together the right build for the job. So with that lengthy intro out of the way, clearly there's a lot to bloody think about in Starfield before you even actually make it into space. So with that in mind, we thought we'd give you a quick whistle-stop tour of everything you can customize in Starfield and help you get your plans in motion for how you want to play once the game launches. Once you've located a ship technician after landing at a spaceport, a lot of options are going to open up to you, from crew to parts. Starfield uses a modular system of sections and rooms to organise your engines, cockpits, shields, weapons, storage, decorations, all the way down to the reactor that powers your spaceboat. With every new component comes new abilities, new options to branch out, and you'll want to experiment with what works for you, because there are a lot of components, with many of them seeming to correspond to manufacturers or factions that you can encounter while you're out and about in the galaxy, each with their own unique strengths and weaknesses, from glass cannon builds to tankier options. From what we've seen so far, the shipbuilding components look massively versatile, allowing you to create whole fleets of ships in your own image and style. If you want a freighter-style ship with no weapons but a shed load of carry-on luggage space, you can do that. If you want to cover your ship with lasers and menace the skies as the newest pirate on the block, you can do that too. So, like we said, Starfield's ship stats are absolutely ridiculous. There is a lot to manage, and it can look overwhelming at first. Even writing this script, I couldn't quite believe there was this much to worry about in an RPG which will already have our character build to think about, and which factions to join and who to romance. But sometimes a space person has to focus on getting in the space garage and building their spaceship. So, your ship stats. Ultimately, they come down to a few core numbers you'll want to keep your eye on when customizing. LAS, laser damage, BAL, ballistic damage, MSL, which is missile damage, your hull, your shield, your cargo, your crew, your jump range, in light years obviously, your mobility, your top speed, and your mass. All that should seem pretty self-explanatory. Hull and shield are basically your ship's health bars, mobility and top speed is about how fast you can move in flight, cargo is how much you can store, jump range, how far you can travel between systems, and laser, ballistic and missile are your damage values for each weapon. Some modules, like cockpits and habitats, will include crew stats that shows how many crew you can fit on your ship. Mass is something that you'll see on every module in Starfield, and it's probably one of the most important stats on your ship. Adding new parts makes your mass go higher while lowering jump range and mobility, so if it wasn't obvious, the heavier you make your ship, the more cumbersome it's going to be to fly. But that's not all, you also need to worry about power allocation. Your ship only has a certain amount of energy after all, and this helpful little graph shows you exactly how much energy you're wasting, or using. The x-axis shows how much power your ship has, the y-axis shows all the things that are vying to use it up. Swapping these power values around can drastically change how your ship handles and performs. Putting all your power into weapons will give you more damage, but a lower power to the engines will make you slower, less shields will make you more vulnerable to damage. It's all about the balance and what you need for that particular jaunt into space. And all of that is before we even get to the ship's modules and the various components we've seen so far. There's an absolute shed load of them, and they all have their own mini set of stats to worry about as well. Cockpits dictate your crew size, ship engines obviously impact top speed, jump range and mobility, ship fuel tanks affect your grav drive and how often or how far you can make jumps before needing to refuel, habitat modules affect your crew and how your ship operates, the landing gear dictate how easily you can land your ship on trickier terrains, cowls and cowling appear to be mostly decorative adornments but do have an impact on your ship's HP and mass, cannons and lasers obviously massively affect your ship's utility in combat, and which reactor you choose has a huge say on how much power your ship has, all impacted by your crew and their relative ability to repair and maintain the ship. And all of these components obviously add tons of weight to your ship overall, so you'll constantly have to keep the mass of respective parts in mind as you add them. That's a lot to think about. Not that you'll be diving into a top-of-the-range custom-built ship right off the jump. Certain parts and upgrades, it seems, will be locked behind ranks in the Starship design skill, meaning if you want to get the best goodies on offer as quickly as possible, it's probably worth making sure your character has some knowledge in spaceship interior design before you try and head out to the really dangerous parts of the galaxy. Or, alternatively, build your own version of the Millennium Falcon and see where the solar winds take you. Just know that according to the ruler of this galaxy, Todd Howard, actual no-holds-barred modular shipbuilding is probably something you'll be waiting until the mid to late game to actually be able to do properly. Of course, you could simply steal someone else's ship. All you'll need to do to get your hands on it is board it and clear out its crew. Just remember that if you want to mod it, you'll need to register it at a spaceport first, and that costs $1. However you want to play, Bethesda have clearly set Starfield up to be the spacefaring adventure of our dreams. Whether you're planning to be a peaceful, wandering explorer of the cosmos, or a vicious space pirate, Starfield ship customization, at least from what we've seen so far, will make sure you have the ability to build the exact boat for your job. And if you can't wait to dive into everything Starfield has to offer, you should check out this video, where we tell you exactly when the game launches in your time zone.